Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for watching. So this is gonna be part 2 of overcoming challenges while you're on a keto or carnivore diet. I'm just going to talk about overcoming 2 challenges. I'd like to keep the video short as promised, and really bite-sized with quick tips that you can actually take away. So just to summarize, if you haven't watched my part 1 video, I will link it down in the description box below. In part 1, I actually shared one of the most common challenge that people who go into keto or carnivore face is that they have this thinking of, I just want to lose weight quickly, I want to get shredded fast, and they decided to go on carnivore or keto because of that. But a lot of times they fail because they don't see how it actually works, and how your current body state kind of determines how your body recomposition journey would be. So I shared about that in part 1. I also shared about how to overcome lack of energy, which I personally face from time to time, and I've given a tip or 2 on how to overcome those. So in this particular part 2, I'm going to share something that I feel deeply about, which is a challenge that I think does affect many, but they don't realize it. It's really their social environment, and I really link that to how you want to feel comfortable around people, but then you're trying to do something that is totally out of the norm. I totally understand how it feels to be the outcast, and let me share with you my personal experience and some tips that you can actually use to slowly overcome the social challenges. Let's get into part 2 of this video. My first social discomfort happened when I went keto. So I'm actually someone that is really used to being the outcast, and having my friends around me thinking that I'm always trying to be individualistic and doing weird things, doing things that is out of the norm. I've always been known to be like that, like a rebel. So I'm completely fine with it. But I think for some people it's a lot more difficult, because they need to conform to social standards, and maybe like their family is not supporting the idea, and it can be very difficult, which I understand. I have sometimes was in that kind of situation before, where I felt like my social surrounding is kind of making it difficult for me to be who I am. Now let's talk about your family, right? If you are trying out the carnivore diet and you have family members or people that are close to you, that is just, they just don't get what you're doing, and every time you're trying to eat a meal, they they have this face, like,
아, 냄새. 디스커스팅한 냄새가 나요. disgusting shit. 저요?
oh my gosh, I'm so worried about you. Something that is not very pleasant, and you can sense it. Or it depends, maybe they just say it straight into your face, like, how come you're not having veggies, why you're eating meat only, you don't need rice, like those kind of statements. I can only use those kind of statements because those are the statements that I hear for myself. I think what helped me was this is a tough one, because like I said, my family knows that if I want to do something, I'll just do it, and then they kind of gave up. Yeah. Anyways, so I think what you can do is probably just explain to the person that this is temporary. Oftentimes when you make a change, right, people think that you're going to do it for the rest of your life, and they're going to be worried, and then they think that you're going to get into trouble. So it's more extreme for people to know that you're doing this long term, but you don't even know. So probably one thing that you can assure them is, have the respect to make them feel comfortable about it. Because I learned this in fashion styling, is that people don't want to change. People think that whatever they wear is fine, even though it's not, and it's going against their image goal. And I learned this about from fashion is that people are very comfortable with where they're at most of the time, and then when they see someone changing or someone trying to do a makeover or revamp themselves, or like they get a new haircut or they do something totally different than who they really are, oftentimes it's problem with that particular person, that has issues with the change. So it could be that you are making your family member feel like they are not doing something to improve themselves like you are, and it's like a defense mechanism, or probably you make them feel uncomfortable in a sense like, oh, is what I'm eating totally wrong and just eating meat only is fine. So you have to be aware in that sense that sometimes it's not about you, sometimes it's about them. So I would then just tell them that this is temporary, and I normally take my time, my patience to explain to them. I'll just let them say whatever they want first. And then I'll ask them, oh, like, why, what's wrong with what I'm eating, just give them a chance, hear them out, and let them say what they want to say, right? But you have to prepare yourself mentally that they're going to say things that you're not going to be happy listening to, like, oh my gosh, you're going to have high cholesterol, you're going to get a heart attack, you're going to have colon cancer, blah blah blah. So just prepare yourself mentally that this is going to come out. It's fine, people just need to be educated. I always remind myself, like, Michelle, remember the first time when you found out that people are just eating meat only and what it does? It was the same reaction for me. I was like, no, this is mental, right? So just be aware that they would have the same reaction as you do, and most of the time it will be negative. Like I said, people are not in for change most of the time or something new. I will let them say whatever it is, and I'll ask them, oh, why, how are you perceiving this, where did you get your information, but I'll be very, very tolerant and patient. And then after that, I will tell them that actually I will just patiently explain to them, actually I have tried many of the healthy way of eating as was suggested in the article online and by this doctor, blah blah blah. I will just tell them that I have tried eating veggies only, I have tried eating a lot of salad, I have tried, and I will tell them very specifically that it's for a duration of time, and I specifically highlight that what it has done to me. Like, I don't feel good, I go to the washroom not in the proper way, or I have rashes, my eczema. I would just kind of like remind them that I have all these issues, that obviously I have tried diets that he or she thinks is proper like we all do, and it didn't work out for me. So I would then nicely explain to them that the only way that I would find out if all these diets are working for me is to temporarily do an experiment. It's just lie to them, it's just for 10 days. You're not going to see them all the time. Just tell them, I'm just going to do it for 3 days, I'm already on my second day, can I just finish my third day? They will most likely not be so hard on it. But if it's a family member that is staying with you, I think this takes a lot more patience. Or if you have a partner that really doesn't support what you're doing, I think then you probably need to have a proper one-to-one talk where there's no distraction, and you probably want to like just hear from them what are their concerns exactly, right? Some people, like I said, they are just against it because perhaps they themselves felt like they are pressurized to do it, and they are just not about it. So for me, I have encountered a very similar situation. I would say that my family members, they were fine. Like I said, they know that their daughter is a crazy one. Experiment with many things, and I'm still alive, so I think they trust me in a sense. But I would say that when I first went to keto, I did have these differences, or not really a friction, but with my husband. He, at that point of time, we were not married. He would really think that me doing higher amount of fat is just, he was just very like he didn't really say what was bothering him. That time I didn't know what strategy I would have used. I would have done it now, but he was just always voicing out like, oh my gosh, how are you eating so much like butter? Like, oh my gosh, are you sure like this is okay? And he would be like, oh, but all those fats, it's are you sure? Like, I think with all of this expression, it's only telling me that he's not aware enough. But you know what, I realized that every time I remind him how good I feel, right, and how my rashes are gone and how I'm managing my autoimmune issues, he start to see that. So I really put my results into his face and focus around that rather than trying to change his mindset, just using my result to persuade him. And he start to see that, hey, you know what, I think this is really working for her. I'm going to say less about it. So probably you want to use that approach. And one funny thing was, recently I was introduced to two friends that we are friends now, I mean, that are vegan. And it's kind of funny because like during our first meal together, it was really awkward because like I would feel so conscious eating my steak in front of them, and they are eating this giant bowl of like those quinoa risotto, like it's just plant food, right? And grains. And then yeah, so it was kind of weird. And then we would talk about everything except diet, so because we know that it's going to get into some very interesting conversation. But at once, but there was once we actually did, right? But I respect them a lot. I don't associate diet with the person's personality, obviously. And I remember this friend was like, so what made you go into eating meat only? He asked that. And I respect him for asking such a open question like that. It wasn't anything that made me feel like he was trying to change my mind. He just curiously, like, he just wants to know. And I explained to him that I did try vegan for a bit. I went vegetarian. And I told him, I said, you have no idea the amount of salad I was eating before. And but my problems just got worse. And he was just shocked. He was like, really? And then he was like, I remember his exact words, and he was like, so you're not taking any vitamins? Like, where are you getting the vitamins? I said, well, I'm eating organ meats. And then he kept quiet, which is, I didn't push it further. And then he said like, oh, okay, so you are not taking any supplements or vitamins like in a pill form at all? I said, no, I haven't. It's been 2.5 years. Yeah. And I said, all my symptoms, I'm managing all my autoimmune issues. And he said this word for word, that's a miracle, so it's like I mean, I don't wanna push it further. And I know I respect people for making their choices, for sure. I'm sure people have their reasons when they make their choices. I was once pushing so much for keto, I didn't even know whether it's good long term and whether plant food is really it for me. But if you never try, you never know, right? So yeah, I mean, if with me sharing with him my experience in a very gentle way will allow him to rethink about his diet, if ever he gets not very well, I hope that he will consider it, obviously. So yeah. And then finally, just a joke aside, I have work colleagues that would tease me sometimes. But you know what? I'm the kind of person that has a very strong mindset. They know that if I want to do something, I'll just do it. And I don't really, I do care what people think sometimes. Most of the time, I don't really care what people think. If not, I wouldn't do a YouTube video or a YouTube channel. But I have, some of my colleagues at work that would tease me all the time. They would be like, oh my gosh, why are you restricting yourself? It's so unhealthy. I'm like, me restricting myself is unhealthy? That's a very interesting one, because I remember that I was not eating right. I was being restricted by all my health conditions. So I was like, you know what, it's okay, people can say whatever they want. And yeah, I just always turn it into a joke somehow if they try to, when we sit at a meal together, and I go full on being a carnivore, and I would annoy the waitress with my orders, and then they will give me the face. But you know what, I'm okay with feeling awkward and comfortable as long as I'm able to sleep at night and I don't have any of my issues coming up to me, and because at the end of the day, I'm the one suffering, right? You guys for watching, and I hope you stay tuned to part 3, which I will drop in the following week. If you have any questions for me, any you want to share a personal challenge that you might have which I have not covered, please let me know in the comment section below, or you can DM me on Instagram. I'm mostly active there, and yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.